Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Darklord Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile for post Rise of the Duelist. With the release of the newest Yu-Gi-Oh booster set, just like Fluffles, Darklords were given a pretty good boost in power with all the new support. I believe we were given a total of between 4 to 5 new cards with this new set, including a brand new Darklord fusion monster, along with the new Link monster we received for Darklords in the Dual Overload booster set. It just makes for a very powerful playstyle of a deck, with the main focus being to just set up your high-level Darklord monsters on the field and use their abilities on the field to shuffle back your different Darklord spell and traps in your graveyard and then activate as if it were their own effects. I'm really happy with the results of the deck, and with the more and more support we get for the deck, I just enjoy playing it more and more just for the unique play style it has as a whole. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for some of the new cards that we received for the deck, I'm running 3 Indulged Darklord. If this card is normal or special summon, you can take 2 Darklord monsters from your hand or deck with different levels, except for Indulged Darklord. Special summon one of them to your opponent's field in defense position, and add the other to your hand. Also, you cannot activate monster effects for the rest of this turn, except for fairy monsters. You can only use this effect of Indulged Darklord once per turn. So that is your main go-to setup, giving you just the option for, setting one up on your opponent's field, which isn't that much of a problem, and then just being able to have another one in your hand to use with all of the different discard effects that the Darklords have, or just the easy tribute to get it onto the field as well. So relying on this, and you're not really limited with the fairy plays with this card, since the whole deck are just fairy monsters, including the extra deck monsters as well. So you definitely want 3 of this. It's definitely a big helpful setup for all of your plays, basically almost doing the same thing as Darklord Ukoback, which we also do run, but just at a faster pace against your opponent. For some of the higher level Darklord monsters, I'm running 3 Darklord Yugioh. With this one, you can discard this card and 1 Darklord card to draw 2 cards. Quick effect, you can pay 1,000 life points, then target 1 Darklord spell or trap in your graveyard, apply that target's effect, then shuffle that target into the deck. You can only use each effect of Darklord Yugioh once per turn. You can only special summon Darklord Yugioh once per turn. But you use 3 of these for the draw power, so you always have options of drawing different cards into your hand with this deck, and then relying on its on-field effect to basically gain the effects of your different Darklord spell or traps that you set up in the graveyard as well, since you can discard this card and a Darklord card. So it doesn't have to be a monster. You can also send any of your Darklord spells to the graveyard for the draw power and then have them in the graveyard set up to use. And it's an easy search as well with other cards like Indulged Darklord also. And I also run 3 Darklord Nasten. Now, just when you have the option for the Xyz monsters you run in the extra deck, you also just have some of the playstyle set up for this card being a different level than Yugioh, as another one to set up on your opponent's field. But also you can discard 2 other Darklord cards to special summon this card from your hand. And quick effect, you could pay 1,000 life points, then target 1 Darklord spell trap in your graveyard, apply that target's effect, then shuffle that target into the deck. So an easy special summon, but more and more setup in the graveyard for your Darklord cards. Once again, setting up more spell and traps in your graveyard for you to use with Nasten, and then being able to use its on-field effect. And having these high-level monsters also works very well for the first Darklord, which needs 3 Dark Fairy monsters for its play on the field also. So having that setup makes it all the better. And one of the easier monsters to special summon resources onto the field is Darklord Superbia, which I also run 3 of. When this card is special summoned from the graveyard, you can target 1 fairy monster in your graveyard except Darklord Superbia and special summon that target. So with this, you have the option for your plays of just giving you more and more resources on the field, whether it is Yugioh or Nasten, or just going for the special summon of Indulged Darklord, being able to use the same effect, whether it's normal or special summon. But Superbia will always give you resources, so a good target to special summon with one of our spells in the deck also. For some of the lower numbers for the Darklords, I'm running 2 Darklord Ukoback now. If this card is normal or special summon, you can send 1 Darklord card from your deck to the graveyard. You can only use this effect of Darklord Ukoback once per turn. It's one of the ones I like to use with Indulged Darklord, since it is a level 3. You can set it up with any of the other ones we mentioned, and then just give control of it to your opponent as a weaker monster for you to easily attack over, giving you one of the stronger monsters in your hand to use. Or if you just normal summon it yourself, you can send 1 one Darklord card from your deck to the graveyard for any of the setup you need with some of your other special summons. For some of the one of Darklords, which we do have a good amount of them, but there's just so much easy search and setup with this deck that I really don't mind the number because it works very well in the end for our plays. I run one Capricious Darklord. During the main phase, you can activate this effect, tribute one Dark Fairy monster, and if this face-up card is sent to the graveyard, you can make all monsters your opponent control currently lose 500 attack and defense for each fairy monster on the field. So just a good way to boost up your own strength by having you lower your opponents. And one Darklord Nurgle. With this one, if your fairy monster attacks a defense monster, inflict piercing battle damage, and then having the same 1,000 life point pay to activate a Darklord spell or trap by applying the effect and shuffling it back into the deck. The piercing works well when you're going up against some of your opponent's monsters if they're on the defensive, being able to have all these different Darklord monsters for those plays all together. And I also run one Darklord Desire. It cannot be special summoned. You can tribute this card by tributing one fairy type monster. Once per turn, you can target one monster your opponent controls. This card loses 1,000 attack, and then you can send that target to the graveyard. I was debating between this card and Darklord Zerato, but I decided on Desire just for the send effect. Very useful for sure, and just an easy tribute of one on the field. For some of the other ones, I also run for the other Darklords, one Darklord Tezcatlipoca, I believe is how you pronounce the name. If a Darklord monster would be destroyed by battle or card fake, you can discard this card instead, and then having the same life point pay, but just for a higher power boost on the field comes in handy for sure. One Darklord Amdusk for the discard of this, and one Darklord card to target a Darklord card in your graveyard to recycle it back into your hand. And one Darklord Morningstar. You can special summon. It cannot be special summoned. If this card is tribute summon, you can special summon Darklord monsters from your hand and or deck up to the number of effect monsters your opponent controls. So with all the different Darklord monsters, it just makes for a good resource building play in the deck. And that is it for the monsters. I want to focus mainly on a pure Darklord build, which I'm happy with the results, especially with the new support for the overall setup of the deck. For the spells, I am running 3 Darklord Contact. A special summon 1 Darklord monster from your graveyard in defense position. You can only activate 1 Darklord Contact per turn, but also just having the shuffle back power to rely on with this card in the graveyard means you can set it up in the graveyard with some of your other Darklord cards, and then use the effect to special summon 1 of your Darklord monsters in your graveyard with, if you summon Superbia to the field, it gives you another monster onto the field that easily as well. And I also run 3 Banishment of the Darklords. You act 1 Darklord card from your deck to your hand, except for Banishment of the Darklords. You can activate 1 Banishment per turn, but once again, being a card, you can search out either the spell or any other card in the deck. So for any of the specific one-ofs that you have, if you need one of those cards, being able to add it with Banishment makes it all the better. And being able to run 3 of this card means that you'll see it more often in the deck, just like Darklord Contact, and then being able to recycle it back into the deck to use for the same plays over as well. For some of the other spell support that I'm running in the deck, just for more of the discard and also setup in the graveyard, I run 3 trade-in. Just discard 1 level 8 monster to draw 2 cards. Now, I know we have a good variety of different monsters in the deck, but we do have Darklord Nurgle as one of the new ones, and just being able to send one of the ones we definitely want set up in the graveyard, which is Darklord Superbia. Being able to special summon it back with some of our other cards makes trade-in very vital for that draw power, but at the same time, since we're able to use the graveyard as basically a second hand, it makes it all the better for that draw power setup. And it's not once per turn either, so the more Superbias, let's say you add your hand with your search power for some of your other cards, including Banishment, being able to add Superbia to your hand, and then just being able to send it off with trade-in for more draw power, and then potentially being able to summon it back onto the field for more special summons makes trade-in a definite staple in the deck. And with all the monsters in the deck also being Dark Attribute, I run 3 Allura Darkness, just like Trading. It's not once per turn, so we have more and more draw power to get to more and more important cards in the deck. So Trading and Allura Darkness all together work very, very well together. And I don't really like doubles of cards, because if you have multiples, you won't be able to use the same, since you can only special summon each and every card once per turn with their own effects. And then having multiples, you don't really want to open them up. You want to open up new Darklords to use with all the other different cards. And lastly, to finish off the spells, I run one Monster Reborn, just the special summon resource for a lot of our different cards in the deck. Going back onto, even Darklord Uko back. If it's special summon, you'll still get the Send, which is great as well. And then just the special summon for our Superbia, which also isn't a once per turn, means you have more consistency for all of your plays, keeping more and more monsters in the field, even to go into our Link monster, which is our Condemned Darklord. And that is it for these spells. We'll now move on to the traps. I run 2 Darklord Rebellion. Now just remember, the traps, just like the spells, can be recycled back into the deck to use. So send 1 Darklord monster from your hand or face up from your field to the graveyard, destroy 1 card in the field. You can only activate 1 Darklord Rebellion per turn. So that setup makes it all the better, having more and more destruction of a card in your opponent's field just by sending 1 Darklord monster from your hand or face up on the field. So more graveyard setup when you use them from your hand, but all the better depending on whatever situation you need. And for some of the other one-ofs, because once again it's easy to send them and then just set them up, I run the 1 Sanctified Darklord. You send 1 Darklord monster from your hand face up on the field to the graveyard, negate the effect of 1 monster on the field until the end of this turn, and then gain life points. So gain the life points back because you do go through them quickly with all the 1,000 life point costs that you use for all your different cards. Definitely needed. Also 1 Darklord enchantment. You send 1 Darklord monster from your hand or face up from your field to the graveyard to take control 1 face up monster your opponent controls. And then also 1 Darklord Uprising is the newest trap card which we have. You send 1 Darklord monster from your hand or face up on the field to the graveyard to fusion summon 1 Dark Fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. Then you can gain life points equal to the original attack of the monsters sent to the graveyard to activate this card. So that life point gain especially, but it's to get out the first Darklord, our main go-to extra deck boss monster, and the easiest way to fusion it out and also gain life points back in the process. And then the last trap I like to run in the deck is Eradicator Epidemic Virus. Just a good way to take care of my opponent's spell or traps by attributing 1 dark monster with 2,500 or more attack, which is a good majority of all the different monsters we run in the deck as well. And then just being able to shut down either spell or traps, whichever one my opponent is running, makes it all the better. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. I run 1 the first Darklord. You need 3 Dark Fairy monsters to make it. Your opponent cannot target fairy monsters you control with card effects. You can only use 1 of the following effects of the first Darklord per turn, only once that turn. If this card is fusion summoned using Darklord Morningstar as material, you can destroy all cards your opponent controls. And during your main phase quick effect, you can pay 1,000 life points to special summon 1 fairy monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position. All the more setup with that life point pay, giving you more of the resources you want on the field to then get more and more cards on the field to summon out onto the field as well. And then just being able to have that bonus when you use Morningstar for the fusion play, and destroying all your resources means you'll have just strong monsters on your field to attack into your opponent also. And also for the rest of the extra deck, I run 2 of the Link monster, which is Condemned Darklord. Sorry about that, got cut off there. Just another easy Link monster to make, since you just need 2 fairy monsters to summon it. But you can tribute fairy monsters that required 2 tributes by banishing 2 monsters from your graveyard instead of tributing. It's still treated as a tribute summon, so an easy way to get out a lot of the different monsters that we run in the deck all together. And then also just for the setup of either adding it to your hand or sending it to the graveyard by discarding 1 card, you can only use this effect of Condemned Darklord once per turn, and once per turn during your end phase, gain 500 life points for each fairy monster on the field. So as long as you have that field swarm, you can just have that life point gain to reuse for all your different Darklords, because they will eat away at your life points pretty quickly for the 1,000 life point cost of all the different effects. For some of the more generic plays, I run 1 Cross Sheep, 2 Wee Witch's Apprentice. The attack boost can come in handy at times as well. And I also run 1 IP Masquerena, 1 Nightmare Cerberus, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, and 1 Borolo Dragon. You usually stick to the Condemned Darklord and the first Darklord plays, but just having these extra options is definitely important. Same for the Xyz monsters. I run 1 number 107 Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon, 1 Dingirsu, 1 number 68, and 1 number 38 Hope Harbinger. If you wanted to try out some other Xyz 3s, maybe some rank 10s and rank 7s. You can give them a shot also with all the different levels we're running. I just like to stick to the rank 8 because of Superbia. It's one of my go-to plays with its special summon altogether, since you are, just the easiest special summon to get onto the field. And most of the time, just getting Nurgle special summoned out makes for an easy Xyz play. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy the video. It's definitely a fun deck. I'm glad we got the support for it. I can't wait to play test more with it. If you're a fan of Darklords, this is definitely the support we've been waiting for the deck. But until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira, Twig out.